Hey guys, Argent here with the character profile of Inuyasha. I've been wanting to do the character profiles of Inuyasha characters for a while. I just was waiting till I had got through some other stuff until I had some better ideas. So I'm going to start with Inuyasha because, well, he's the title main character. Now, I think Inuyasha, to understand him, you have to understand that there's two sides of his personality which are constantly at war with one another, which makes sense since Inuyasha means half dog. For those of you who haven't seen the show in a while, he is the son of, I forget what his father's name is. Uh, Inu no Taisho, one of the greatest demons who ever lived, otherwise known as the Great Dog Demon, who's absolutely a massive, he was super powerful, and he controlled a large portion of Japan. His father at some point had his son and heir Sesshomaru with a demon woman, but later on fell in love with a human noblewoman and had a son with her. Now the story goes that his father had gone and fought Ryokotse, the great dragon demon, and defeated him, albeit while taking extremely grievous wounds in the process and breaking off his claw, which he left to keep Ryokotse in a state of suspended animation. However, while he was out, a human lord who was in love with his human bride stormed the castle and sought to kidnap her. The great dog demon arrived just in time. However, due to his wounds, he was unable to transform back into his great dog demon form and merely crush them, and he engaged in a series of brutal sword fights, which eventually led to him becoming mortally wounded. Um, Giving his last will and testament, including giving the robe of the fire rat, which Inuyasha wears to Inuyasha's mother, he bid her to flee. Well, he himself died. At some point, his will was carried out, and his grave was sealed inside of a pearl, which was put inside of Inuyasha's eye, along with the sword Tetsaiga, which would be the legacy he would leave to his younger son. So Shomaru was given Tenseiga, and led to an immense hatred between the two. Inuyasha doesn't care as much, but Sesshomaru views his father as loving his half-blooded son more than him, his heir, and it leads to a resounding bitterness. Inuyasha grew up completely alone and despised by everyone because he is a henyo, a half-demon, who is neither trusted by humans nor by demons. Unfortunately, because his father was immensely powerful, he is still stronger than the vast majority of demons. The half that he is from the highest rank of demons, which are kind of the humanoid demons that can transform. So he's basically stronger than 99% of existing ones. Only guys like Naraku and some of the other ones can come close to rivaling him. So he grew up in an environment where he was hated by everyone, where people would frequently betray him and his mother, and where I believe his mother was eventually killed by humans. Inuyasha grew up without a father figure to discipline him, and he was frequently tormented by people who were much weaker than him. This led to him developing a sense of paranoia, where he believed that everyone would attempt to take advantage of him or otherwise hurt him, which is seen throughout the series in how reluctant he is to get close to other people. He also developed an inability to deal with social situations, which is expressed through excessive honesty, a lack of concern for other people's feelings, etc. It's not so much that he's a mean or cruel person, he just has no experience in social situations, because the vast majority of his life consisted of him being despised to the point that people would frequently try to kill him. Um, so I think his paranoia is well founded, and his distrust of people is also well founded. He doesn't fit in human or demonic society, and even when he became an adult, it only served to make him feel increasingly alone. Eventually, he met Kikyo, um, the priestess who guarded the Shikan no Tama, and they decided to make a pure wish using it that would have made him human, and would have destroyed destroyed the jewel, as the jewel can only be destroyed if a pure wish is made on it. I think in the end, Kagome wishes for the jewel to disappear. Um, so, however, Naraku um, did a thing where he tricked them into attacking one another, and Inuyasha was portrayed by the only person he had ever trusted outside of his mother. Um, Particularly when he was awake, he showed complete disdain to Kagome, and this carried over for a great deal of the early part of the series and towards the other companions. He didn't trust any of them, and he was extremely hesitant to show that he cared for any of them, because his entire life had been a story of betrayal. He felt his father had betrayed him by dying. While he loved his mother, he resented her for bringing him into existence when she knew he would be such a he would lead such a lonely um, existence without any friends, and he resented his brother who would not accept him despite them sharing the same blood. When Inuyasha awoke, he decided that because humans had repeatedly betrayed him, he would live only for himself and become as powerful as possible. He wished to get the Shikan no Tama and wished to become a full demon, so that he could finally um, become completely self-sufficient in his view. However, the shouting of the Shikan no Tama made him rely on other people for the first time in his life. It was a long, slow process of getting him to open up to those around him, but eventually, over time, he grew to have respect for them. Even though his relationship with Kagome was rocky, as he really didn't like being told what to do. Because as growing up, he wasn't really disciplined by an authority figure, and everyone around him acted atrociously. So he copied many of their mannerisms, and he's completely incapable of feeling, kind of acting in like a normal fashion, if that makes sense. Just because he has no real experience in social situations, no one's ever really taught him proper manners, etc. And by the time Kagome meets with him, he's fairly old, and at least by human standards, and I think he's actually 200 years old, although 50 years of that included them being sealed into the tree. So Inuyasha is a character who I think over time he kind of grows into being a man. A lot of the series is about him kind of becoming a full adult and becoming the man his father wanted him to be. Both of his sons eventually eclipse his father in strength and kind of learn the lessons from him. Inuyasha, I think, finally learns to accept his father's legacy and takes on a similar role, eventually kind of viewing himself as a lord and the people around him as his vassals. Taking kind of the whole dog aspect, he eventually becomes the alpha of his little pack and sees Kagome as his mate. His pack is something he will protect above all else, and he's kind of learned full nobility. Over time, he continues to mature and grow closer to Kagome, although he's exceedingly awkward and has difficulty with circumstances, with all the interaction. The other thing that we notice about him is he's extremely honest to the point of rudeness, which comes from the fact that regardless of how he worded things in the past, people reacted the same to him. Overall, Inuyasha is essentially a very good person who's been dealt a very bad hand in life. And really, it just took some prolonged connection to decent people to bring him out of his shell. Well, I don't personally like Kagome, and I kind of think she's a bitch. I think it really did help him to become a better person. I'm probably one of the few people who likes Kikyo better than Kagome, um, but you can't really argue with results. Um, Inuyasha eventually, as I said, accepts his position as a warrior and as a lord, and has fulfilled all of his father's dreams for him. Um, and so I like Inuyasha. He was one of my favorite characters in the series. My favorite character is probably Sesshomaru, just because I find him a little more complex. But at his own, Inuyasha is a character who I think it's very easy to dismiss him as just kind of being rude or a dick or a jerk, which is what Kagome does. I don't feel she ever really learns the reasons behind it or tries to understand him. It just punishes him constantly, and they have kind of an abusive relationship. But a lot of other people seem to like her, and I guess ultimately she was good for Kagome. Um, so this is Argent. I hope you enjoy it. This character profile. Ask me if there's some more you want. Signing out.